Welcome back to the podcast with me, Pete Tigers. I'm living with a nasty salmon bug at the moment. I'm trying to pack as much of it in as I can while we have some water. I've also had a couple of days in Scotland that was amazing. I've written about it and will publish it at some stage in the magazine too. Also, thanks for all the kind comments about the podcast and the magazine too. I've had recently a really nice email from Alan, who wrote to tell me he's older than the magazine, but is really enjoying how it is looking and how it is reading. It's deeply humbling. Thank you. And thank you to everyone else who's written to me as well. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Right, on to my guest for today. She is a supremely talented angler who travels the world with a fly rod. You'll have seen a series of films she has starred in with Loop, and she is also a ferocious campaigner for salmon too. I'm pleased to be joined by Emilie Björkman today. It's great to have you here, Emilie. How are you doing?
Thank you, Pete. I am all good. I'm very good, actually. I mean, the season is on, and I just came home from some fishing in Norway. So a little bit tired, but anyway, still like full with energy from that trip and yeah, enjoying life. All good.
That sounds good to me. Can you tell listeners whereabouts you're based?
Yeah, so I live in like the middle part of Sweden in a really small village, Linghed, in the middle of the forest, really. So we have like 400 people living here, maybe, where the most of it circulate around fishing and hunting. It's a big part of this village.
That sounds fascinating. Does that mean that you have a community within that village of anglers and hunters too?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in hunting. It's a long and big tradition in hunting where I live, but also in fishing. I mean, I grew up in a family where both my mom and dad hunt and fish. So I really, really grew up with it 100%. So it's and like I have a big, relative, my aunties, uncles, cousins, everyone hunt and fish here. Like that's what you can do, really.
Yeah, it sounds perfect to me. What does that mean then from a fishing perspective for you? Do you have a river, I'm guessing, relatively close to the village that is popular with you and you'd consider your home water?
Yeah, so unfortunately in the middle part of Sweden where I live, we have built dams in every little stream river we got. So unfortunately, we don't have that much rivers that is really good with fishing where I live. But so I grew up with more like small, like forest lakes with wild trouts and Arctic char and pike and perch fishing is a big thing here. So right now it's like the big celebration for us because now when the biggest mayfly is hatching where I live, what we call vulgata, which is the Sweden biggest mayfly. So it's a really good time to be out, really. It's also when like the really big one come up to eat, you know. So you have really good chance to catch the really big ones this time of the year. So it's good. But unfortunately, salmon rivers, I don't. I have to travel a bit north to reach like my home waters for salmon. But it's not so far. I mean, we are used to drive or take the train or like go very far and we call it home, really.
You've got me with the mayfly thing at the moment, so that's fascinating me. Does that mean that you're sort of sitting thinking about, right, are the duns coming off or is the spinnerful happening? Is that how your life's revolving around the hatch at the moment?
100%, yeah. And a really good sign is when I walk out here in the garden. I live just close next to a river here. I can follow when the hatch is starting. So it's, yeah, and now it start to be a lot of spinnerfall, so just be out maybe a bit later on the day. And my husband was out late last night, and he had a window of like 1 hour when he saw like huge trout coming up to eat. So yeah, it's you're longing and dreaming about this the whole winter. We have really long winters here, so we're really dreaming about this like few days we have with this, and it's happening now. So yeah, it's awesome.
And how do you like to fish for those fish in those lakes then? Are you sort of staying mobile, looking for the rises and covering them?
Yeah, so I have a few like small forest lake where I can walk around just next to the bank, or I have what do you call it? Belly boat?
Yeah,
Small
float
belly?
tube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Float tube, yeah. You go in a float tube or a small boat, or yeah, just to often like the biggest one in some of the few lakes are typically in the middle of the lake. So you really want to reach them and see the pattern they are moving to eat and everything. So yeah, so a different way to fish for them for sure.
And it was really interesting that you said to me that you're fishing for, as you said, trout, char, pike, perch. And I'm thinking about fishing from a UK perspective. And I guess, we're circled around trout, or we might be circled around salmon and to grayling as well, to fit that in. But I'm guessing you probably grew up catching all of those at the same time. Whereas perhaps here we might branch out into pike a little bit later, or carp, or perch, or whatever it may be. But did you grow up with all of them at the similar sort of time?
Yeah, exactly, Pete. So when I try to think back, I mean, I start fishing before I learned to walk, really. And both my mom and dad compete a lot in fishing. So I started competing in fishing maybe when I was 4, 5. And that was mainly for perch and pike. But I think it was like in my teenager, I I remember I caught a trout and just next to my parents' house, and I thought it was so beautiful and just something else, a beautiful, beautiful trout. And after that, I was just hooked. It felt like trout is just something that I grew up with that is so important for me now. Like when I look back, really. Um, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to explain that.
I think everyone would understand that the
Mm.
beauty of each fish doesn't matter how big or small it is, that they're just so
No.
beautifully marked. Each one's different, and I'm sure many people listening will know that when you put one back, every one I try and drink in every single detail of that
Yeah.
one fish for that moment, and it looks as though that was the tipping point for you with that. And so how did
Mm.
that develop for you, for fishing from having a rod in your hand from a very, very young age? Did that develop some more, and then did you find yourself navigating more towards trout than anything else, or were you catching all the species at a similar time?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, because here we have trout in small forest lake, we have them in creeks, rivers, in the ocean, really, and you can find them in such a different kind of beautiful nature. And growing up with trout, I later on in my 20s just just was like thinking of I need to work with fishing. I need to work with finding these trout, and be by the water as much as I can. So it was a natural step for me because here in Sweden I think we have like 3 different fishing academies that you can go to. So I went to one in the southern part of Sweden. It's called Forshaga Sportfisk Academy. So it's one kind of sport fishing academy. It's a 2-year academy where you learn everything from the conservation part, the guiding part, and how to start your own business. So it felt like a really natural step for me after taking that journey to start my own business. And I think that was in 2013, maybe. And after that, I've been working with fishing ever since, really. I started quite small, so I had a different work on the side just to survive, But I started to have classes and casting classes and fly tying courses and writing a lot of articles. And yeah, so it's been quite a long journey now, and been a while ago when you think about it. Time flies, really.
And that's amazing, the academies, because obviously we have the casting qualifications here, which, I've taken, all of those sorts of things as well. But also that to get you going, to advise you how to work in fishing, all of those things alongside it. That's a wonderful, wonderful course to do that. And when you're going to these courses, are there many people attending them as well?
Yeah, so it's a 2-year long. So you stay in like student rooms, and we were 25 in my class. And yeah, I was the only girl, unfortunately. And it was one girl in the class, in the class before me. It was another girl, but other than that was only guys. And many of those guys were really into spin fishing and pike fishing. So we were a few that really loved fly fishing in that class. But it's awesome because it's a building community and building contacts and like really finding out where to start, like with your business and contacts and finding other guides and taking it from there, really. It's a good start.
From those people who were on that course, are all of them still working in fishing like yourself, or did some sort of drop away? What was the follow through from that?
Unfortunately, Pete, I think it was only me, and I know one guy is guiding in Norway for salmon, and another one is working for like a sport fishing organization. But very few continue working with fishing because it's a tough branch. I mean, it's not easy. You have to be, yeah. It's all about contacts and trying to figure out what you want to do. And because here in Sweden we have such a short season for it, then I know that many travel to another country to survive the winter or find something else during the winter. So it's really tough, this kind of industry, really, if you want to go for it.
And is it size-wise? Because I always think of, when I think of Scandinavia, and I'm a very keen sea trouter, I go out to Denmark every year without fail and fish out there. And I get a sense, as somebody looking in, that it's a bigger, wider population of anglers, and hopefully more women that you're seeing in fishing now too. But do you think it is comparable? Do you think it is a good amount of people who are involved with it?
I mean, working with fishing in
Yeah.
yeah, but it's a small industry. Like everyone knows each other. You feel that when you go to fairs working, like you see other brands, everyone knows each other in some way, especially in fly fishing. But I think I love that community. I love that, like everyone is so into fly fishing and like-minded, most of them. And I see that all over the world, really. I mean, it's a small community all over, and everyone like thinks alike around everything around fly fishing, especially now when I travel a bit and meet people guiding on Iceland. It's the same. It's still the same fly fishing there that I do back here. It's a different kind of local fly pattern or different, but you're still looking for the right condition, finding the right fish to connect with, and so I love this fly fishing community, and it doesn't it's a lot of people fly fishing, but it still feels like a small community in some way.
And there's a pride, isn't there, in getting people into something that means so much to you, right?
It is. I I really, really believe that getting people to the river, to connect with the river, maybe start fly fishing, get knowledge about just that your home river, get to know the fish that lives there, and then you want to take care of that fish, you want to take care of that river, you start to care about that nature, that place, and we need more of that. We need more people for our planet, really. So I think it's super important to get more people out, to get the connection to the nature, really, to the water. That's super important for me.
It's really interesting you say that, because it looks as though, to me at least, that there is a little bit of a shift coming in fly fishing, in the sense of it's not just about the fish, it is becoming about more now. And like you say, that connection, the place that we're at, the people that we're with. Are you sensing that as well?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it feels like the next generation cares a lot, and I have really big hopes in them, but we have a lot of work to do, because this today, with the cell phone and the internet and everything, that destroying the time you can have outdoor, really. I constantly thinking of my kids being inside, maybe playing video games. What did I do when I was in that age? We didn't have that, really. Did we go outside? Yeah, I think we did. So I think we need to grab that kind of people too, to get out and yeah. But the generation that are fishing and getting into fishing really, really cares more than I noticing when I grew up. I think it was like an older generation, maybe didn't have that same knowledge we have today, really, because we learn so much with everything from releasing a fish, how to handle a fish, or how to fish a water. So it's I think, yeah, it's a lot happen, and a lot of good things are happening.
That's the good thing about technology, isn't it? That it allows younger people, particularly, to learn, like you say, about handling fish. And I know you're an advocate for that. And with the magazine now, the Hollis who did the gallery section, I said, look, if there's a fish over grass, don't even bother sending it to me for okaying those sorts of things. And it's very difficult, isn't it, sometimes, because we want to say to people, look, but I found trying to lead by example has been a better way to do it, because like you say, we're a small community, aren't we? And we don't want to fall out with our little community, do we?
No, no, really. And I think it's all about getting the information out there, and learning more and trying more, and yeah, caring more, really. Maybe don't go and fish that river if it's over 20 degrees Celsius, if you want to release the fish, because the fish might not survive, maybe, or so I think it's just getting the information out more to more people, to new people, so we all can enjoy the nature and be by a healthy river, really.
Yeah, we're going to swing back in a moment, but while we're on it now as well, that, I said on the intro about your work with salmon as well, and you've done a lot there. And are you seeing sort of what provoked you in the first place to go down this route and be so visual and vocal about salmon and the plight of salmon?
I mean, I think it's because it's maybe sound like cheesy, but it's some way it's a part who I am, really, Pete. I mean, it's the lifestyle and being out there by a salmon river, enjoying the time. It's so important. It's like a part of who I am now. So seeing the declines of the runs and everything that happens out in the sea, and everything bad and good, and so much happening. And I just feel with this year, it seems like we might have bad runs, and that really breaks my heart, and feel like, okay, what I know that I can't do everything, or like, but what can I do as an individual, and what is my strength? What can I do? Okay, I can make a film to share the knowledge of what's going on, and try to find solutions, and just meet the experts and ask them, what can we do, really, and the researcher, and yeah. So I mean, it's because I started salmon fishing in the good years, when we really had good runs of salmon, and just being by the river, meeting all the great people, just sleeping on a rock, eating sausage and boiling coffee, and once and then connecting with a salmon. That was just an awesome time to be alive by the river, to then in 2023 see the decline in so bad, and people stopped fishing. And I really believe that we need to be by the river, to protect the rivers and just be outside. So that was when I felt like, okay, I have experienced the good years. I really want to have that back. And that's like a ego kind of way, because I want to fish for them, of course. But I mean, it's also more than that. Of course, I care about them. So I think it was 2023, we made a film called Free Falling, where we asked the experts, the researcher, like, what's going on? What is happening out in the ocean with the rivers, and where are the salmon? And I mean, it's complex and difficult to know what's going on. It's a like, yeah, the expert says a lot, but and really don't know what's happening out. But it's a lot affecting the runs, is it? But the thing that me and Ted and Lars could do at that time was to make a film about free falling, to share our worries, and hopefully people that can do something see the film. And we were very fortunate to have some politician from the EU Parliament to see the film. So we got invited to the Parliament to have a screening of the film. And I think, I mean, I really hope we did impact. And I follow some of the politicians from that meeting, and they are trying to, like, one problem out in the sea is with big trawlers taking a lot of the food for the salmon, really, sprat and herrings. And I see those politicians fighting to, like, decrease the quota they have in the ocean today. So hopefully we did something that changed their kind of, what do you say, way of seeing.
I know the feedback for the film was extraordinary, and I sometimes think we have people who go fishing and just want to go and catch some fish and stuff like that. Yeah. And I guess I'm coming back to that. It's a bigger thing now. For people listening who feel like we do about the conservation, about those fish, and I find it quite emotional that no matter what we put in front of these salmon, they still try and run the river no matter what. And I find that deeply moving. But what would you advise people listening if they wanted to do something? Because what I'm trying to do is get people to stand up and do stuff. And I've done leaflet campaigns about salmon farms and all sorts of other things as well. But what would the best piece of advice that you could give people to help perhaps make a little bit of change?
I mean, get involved in your local NGOs, local fishing clubs. I mean, there's plenty all over, at least here in Sweden, NGOs and local fishing clubs that are helping their home river and trying the best they can do to help that river, help that fish, or that kind of nature around it. I think it's get involved, really. I think that's a really great step to do. And yeah, also like you say, I mean, I am also ambassador for Off the Table in Iceland to get the farming salmon, go to Off the Table, sign the pledge they have there. And I think it's just be connected.
I think I've always tried to get anglers to stand up a little bit more and want to do something and be part of it. And that's some great advice to be able to do that. So thank you for that. And I wanted to swing back to fishing a little bit. And I wanted to get a sense of how you think fly fishing is looking to you right now. We'll put the conservation part aside, but do you think it's growing? Is it in good shape? What is the feel of it to you right now?
I mean, I think it's growing, especially after the COVID time, when we had all the kind of lockdowns and people was only allowed to go out in nature, and a lot of people found fly fishing at that time, at least here in Sweden, and hopefully some other places too. So back then at the COVID time, we saw a really high number of people starting fly fishing. So that was awesome. But I really think we need to work a lot to get the younger generation to get involved. That they are our hope, and I see the next generation interested, but I think we need to set even more focus on next generation to get more fly fisher out there, because it's awesome just being out there and hopefully connect with a fish, but having a good time by yourself, reloading some energy, or be out with some friends in the mountains and making food over open fire and enjoying watching some rises. And isn't that just the best you can do? Really get off the screens, just get out there. I think just fly fishing is according to me, like the best way to connect with nature, really, because you want to see how that river looks like out in the mountains. Okay, then me and my friends need to walk for maybe 3 hours through this hiking path, and that's an adventure for the summer. And so I see more of that. But of course, now we have socials, and so you get it all the time. That I didn't do when I grew up. We only had the fishing magazines back then. So I think it's maybe you get a bit fooled by the socials that there are many more, but I think it's growing slowly, but we need more. And that's I also say it's difficult because you also want to be alone by your favorite river, but you still want to have more people getting out there. So it's what do you think, Pete?
Well, I'm with you on that. And one of the things I wanted to say is that often when we have our gatherings and things, and I often say, I end by saying I'm a fly angler. If I had to explain it, you wouldn't understand it. And somebody we both know, Jim, I was fishing with at the weekend. Actually, it was Thursday and Friday last week. And I showed him my hand as we came to a salmon pool, and it was shaking. with
I
excitement.
love that.
Do you
Yeah.
find that still hasn't gone for you? I know the answer to this, of course. Do you feel that is a driving factor as well that helps us? It makes it easier to spread the word, doesn't it, when you feel that way about it? And do you think within the fly fishing community, because I always say that there are people who do it, and then there's people who live it. And I don't know how many live it versus how many people who do it. But if we can reverberate and send that feeling out to more people, that must be sometimes enough to bring more people in, mustn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and I I totally get that. I mean, here in Sweden we have these people that just love to get to their cabin for 1 week of the summer and then they fish that week. That's it. Like that's what they love to do for the whole year. And then we have other people that live and breathe fly fishing and can't do anything else except for that. So I I think we have all kind of different fly fishers out there and I think that's good. Otherwise I wouldn't have a space in my home water.
Yeah. Good point. Very, very good
Yeah.
point. That, yeah, yeah, I like that. Okay, so since you've been fishing, what do you think's the biggest change that you've seen in it since you began fishing? Has there been a change, or has it just been a constant? Is there anything that you've noted or seen?
Yeah, I mean, of course, now you see everything on socials. Um, you that's cool though, but because you can find people all over the world fly fishing and see what they are up to in New Zealand or what's the fishing's like in Montana, for instance. So it's you can that you couldn't do back in the days. You can always only dream by reading your fishing magazine. But that I love that too. That's something I still do a lot is to read fly fishing magazine and dream about like visiting a new water or going back to your home water, reading about it. I think maybe we lost some of that, the adventure feeling, because now everything is so close to you in the socials and internet. You can't maybe dream in the same way. You can only like, I want to go fishing New Zealand, then you Google it and then you have it all there. So it's, of course, that's good and bad, of course, if you look back and look now. But and but something I see more of, it's more women on the water. And thank God for that. We need more, and I think it's happened. A lot have happened for sure. When I remember when I started my first like blog, I think that was 2011. I don't think we had Instagram or something like that. And I had no like inspiration, no women anglers like anywhere to find like to get some inspiration. And when you were looking in the fly fishing magazine, there were no women writing for the magazine or on pictures fishing. They were most naked in that kind of sense, so I think that have changed a lot, and thank God for that. And I see more and more women on the water, not so many in salmon, and that's maybe something I quite don't understand, so we need to push more for that. But for trout fishing and pike and all other species, I see a lot of women starting to fly fish. So that's really cool, and especially when I've been to the States a bit. I met a few female angler guides and anglers everywhere. So it feels like the States have come a bit longer than we have in the Scandinavia, at least.
Some really nice points there. And like you say, women being involved with it and guides. And I'm going to recommend a book to you, which I think I've talked about before. I don't know if you know Jenny Olson, or she's known as Jenny Montana now. And she wrote a
No.
book about being a guide in the sort of 80s in Montana
Ah,
and in Scandinavia as well, actually, interestingly. I'll send you some details afterwards, but I think it's called Cast Again. And it's a lovely book, and find her on Facebook, and she is just great. And she was out there guiding a long,
awesome.
long time ago. So we've been talking about having her on the podcast. So it's reminded me to invite her along. But yeah, I think that's wonderful that we are seeing more women fishing, and I'm really pleased with that. And we're putting them in the magazine as well, because they write wonderfully and sharing stories,
Yeah.
which I really, really like. But I wanted to move on because that segues beautifully into the series of films you made with Ted and for Loop as well. And how did that sort of all come about? Was that a natural thing after the salmon film that you moved on to these other locations to look at fly fishing?
So long story short, I think it was around 2 years ago now, I start working as an employee for Loop. And we right away started planning to do some kind of series for Loop. So I got Ted Lugart on board, who is an amazing filmmaker, really. And I have done a few films and projects with him before I started working with Loop as an employee. And I think it was, around soon 2 years ago, we decided with the marketing team on Loop to do a series, and we build out some kind of concept and strategy for it. And yeah, it took it from there. And we went, I think the first episode we did was in Argentina. Then we did Montana, but I think it was Montana we released first, and then Argentina, I think, yeah. And then we just hit it off and been, yeah, doing, I think we are about to release the 9th episode now. So it's been quite hectic and a lot of fun, an amazing time, just this community, meeting all the amazing people, like really so devoted for their water and their kind of fishing. And that's so interesting. That's why you want to be in the fly fishing community, really, meeting all the amazing people.
This is probably like trying to choose children, but which is the favourite location that you went to? Do you have one that stood out in particular for you?
Oh, really, really tricky question, Pete. I mean, I love them all. I really do, because of the people, really. Everything with Simon Shue in New Zealand and Montana, and fishing with Mauro and Yvonne and Alex in the River Hunt. And Iceland. Oh man, I can't. I can't
The,
choose. It's but I am so fortunate to get to travel and see all the places in my work, to see all the incredible fishing rivers and meeting the people. But that comes with a big responsibility, I think. But so I am deeply rooted in my Swedish fishing, so I need to say Sweden. The Swedish episode we did. Well, that was a long, yeah, because I love that kind of fishing, and fishing with the people I did in the Swedish episode.
so, yeah, that sounds to me about the right diplomatic answer as well. So
Yeah.
I'm sure people listening will, and I've done a tiny bit of it myself, but what is it like trying to catch for the camera? Does it bring a different pressure to the fishing, or do you just enjoy it and go with the flow?
That's a really good question, Pete, because it's so much pressure. I mean, still we are producing a fly fishing film, really, and people want to see fish, to be honest. So it's a really big pressure to get some fishing. And we are setting the dates quite early, and you never know what you get kind of conditions and everything against that. So it's a high pressure to get the fish, really. But thanks to working with the incredible guides. I mean, everything from the Italy episode, working with Stefano and Mauro, maybe the best guides I have ever fished with. Of course, they do it all, 100% get us to have the huge, beautiful fish on camera. So, but it is always a pressure to get everything together, really. It is, but it's a part of the struggle that I love doing films, really, because you can never just sit down and enjoy it. Really, you need to always think about, like, do we have it all for this episode? Okay, we didn't get a fish. Okay, what now? Like, how can we solve this? And so it's pressure, but I love it. I love that kind of pressures also. The hunt kind of, yeah. It's like now we are making a film in Norway about salmon fishing. So I just came home from fishing in Verdal and Stjørdalselven, Stjørdals River. And salmon fishing, sometimes it's on and sometimes it's off. And nowadays, you don't know if we get any runs, really. And so fishing Verdal, it was really good condition. We saw a few salmon, but we didn't connect with anyone. Then we got to Stjørdal and the same thing there. But finally, when my friend and guide Hayas connected with a really nice salmon, like, so awesome. And I lost two. I lost two really nice salmon. Yeah. About the pressure and when you connected with that salmon, I get so frustrated of myself when I lose it, when I lost it. And yeah, it's a part of the emotion you get from fishing, I guess, losing that big fish.
Yeah, we always remember those ones the longest, right?
100%.
And it's nice you shouted out Stefano, as you know, he's a good friend of mine, and he's been on the podcast a number of times. And
Awesome.
I'm out in 10 days' time, something like that. I'm not going to his neck of the woods, but I've known him quite a long time now, and I would echo what you say about him as a guide. I think he's fantastic. I love his company.
Yeah.
He takes me, as he calls it, to shitty little streams, because he knows I like the tiny little streams with fish in. And he says, I've been saving this one for you, which is wonderful. So I'm looking forward to that immensely. But before we move on a little bit, I wanted to ask you as well, because of the travelling that you do you detect differences in the culture of fly fishing compared to home, or say the UK or the US? Do you sense that when you're going to these different places?
Yes, I mean, especially with when we did the first episode in Montana versus Sweden, because Montana, they breed and live fly fishing. You have fly shops everywhere, and it's on the highway you see big statues of fly fishers from the old days. It's fly fishing. The vibe is all about fly fishing in Missoula and Craig and everywhere in Montana. Versus Sweden, we have a lot of people fishing here, but we have a really few fly shops and maybe not the same vibe they have. It was amazing experience that, and then we have New Zealand. It's quite the same in New Zealand. I mean, fly fishing is so big there, and just in New Zealand, it's a freedom to roam. You can just rent a car and meet people by the river everywhere, and everyone wants to do the same thing, want to just be by the river. And then I haven't fished that much in Scotland, really. Not yet, but I would love to one day. But I guess it's the same there. I mean, I know that like Scotland have a long tradition in salmon fishing and the history they have. And so, and the same with Norway, also having such a big history and tradition in salmon fishing, and how important salmon is for Norway. So it's the culture, it's, I mean, fly fishing is the same everywhere, like I said, like with everyone, everyone is looking for the right condition, fly pattern and everything. But the culture, it's a bit different where you go.
Yeah, those places in Montana where you walk in the fly shop and they ask you the first question is where you're fishing, what are you up to? And it's just amazing, isn't it? And you walk down a street in wherever it may be. I'm trying to think. Missoula, I think, to be honest, if my lottery numbers came up, I think I'd be out there somewhere, because I liked, as you say, the whole vibe of the place, the Clark Fork running through the town like that, Rock Creek up the road, all of these sorts of amazing places. And then the fly shops where you can have breakfast in the cafe and then in the Grizzly Hackle there, and those sorts of places is just amazing, isn't it?
Really, yeah. So there. I mean, we went to, when we did the Montana episode, we were fishing one day in Craig, and they said like it's like 50 people living in Craig, but they have 4 fly shops, and this is so cool. And me and Ted and Ali was just sitting outside a fly shop watching all the guides preparing for the day on the river and talking shit to each other, just getting stoked to get out there. And it was, we just wanted to sit there on the bench watching these people all day, because yeah, it's such an awesome community, and yeah, to be in, really.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Right, let's throw this one to you. What do you prefer to fish for, trout or salmon? And would you fish with somebody or would you fish alone?
Ooh, good question. I like them both. I In salmon fishing, you know, when the season start, I love to connect with my friends that I only talk to when the summer season start, you know. Then we become best friends, and I love that. And I love meeting up with them. That's, we are hiding the whole winter, and then we start meeting up by the rivers again. So salmon fishing, I think I really love the vibe and hanging out with a few friends, or just being with one friend and we just go in the car driving on gravel roads and just effectively fishing pool from pool to pool, and just, you know, just living it all in with a few friends. But I also love go trout fishing for myself, you know, just be maybe in the belly boat, the float tube, in a small forest lake, and suddenly you see the moose just coming by, and you know you have the eagle, and just, oh, you get some new energy, and I love that too. But it's awesome also to fish for salmon when you're, but yeah, when you're alone, just connecting deeper with the nature in that way. So Pete, I can't choose. I can't I can't choose between a trout or a salmon, because I love them both, and I love fishing with friends and alone. Yeah,
I
sorry.
think that's the right answer. I think
Yeah,
it's the right answer.
good.
So yeah, you've travelled a lot, But is there still a dream destination? Is there somewhere that you'd still love to go search out a fish?
Now, I'm so no, because I am so fortunate to be visiting places all over once in a while. So my dream destination is my home water, because it's like even now more I don't fish that much back home that I used to and would love to. So I always want to go back to be at my home water, really. I think that's the best place, and I would say that's my dream destination, 100%.
Again, perfect answer. I've been asked that question a few times, and that's exactly what I give as well. There's no place like home, right?
No, exactly. I really believe that.
Let's talk about tackle just for a tiny few moments. And do you have a Hall of Fame fishing rod? Do you have one that you'll always pack in the back of the car, that one that does everything for you? I'll give you a salmon rod and I'll give you a trout rod.
Okay, let's start with the salmon. So I love the ZT, the travel rod. Since I've been traveling a bit, it's so nice to have travel rod, and that's my favorite one. It's the 13-foot, 13.2 foot, 8-weight ZT, and 14-foot 7X rod for our bigger salmon rivers up north. And for trout, I mean the let's see. I was fishing a lot with the track 4-weight in Italy, and I really love that one. And it's a perfect dry fly rod for me. So I would go with that one. And when I travel to the mountains, when we backpack out, I always have 2 rods with me. So I would go with a 4-weight track rod and 7X 5 or 6. 100%. And opti reels on both. I have the speedrunner on my salmon rods and opti dry fly.
Nice choice. Nice choice. And the track is extraordinary value for £270 as well. It's an extraordinary rod, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And you get a lot for it. So absolutely.
Yeah, the listeners, we did a rod test for the magazine and we changed things up a little bit. And I had a member of the public along to do a test. And it was quite interesting. It's coming out. The magazine's gone to press, so it should be out. But it's quite an interesting review from that point of view. And we tried to do it with different fly lines to give people a good idea of what they should recommend. And we have the track in there. But readers will be able to see that very, very shortly. But so what else you got planned? Because you're so busy, you're traveling all over the place. What else you got planned for this year?
Ooh, let's see now. So the episode we do for Norway, the salmon in Norway, it's quite big because, as you know, open pen cages all over Norway are really making it difficult for the wild salmon in Norway. I mean, they were shutting down all the rivers 2024 in Norway. And like I said before, it's a big tradition in salmon fishing in Norway, and a lot of people are depending on having fly fisher out there, really. So we are making quite a big episode about this. So a lot of that time will be this summer, filming for that one. So I've been in Trondelag, fishing Verdal and Stjördal now, and in a few weeks I go into Varanger. So that is up really close to the Russian border, really, and a whole different environment. That is going to be super cool. And going to meet up with some researcher. And so it's a lot working with that episode. And I am planning to do a few in the States this fall. Will not say anything more. And I'm going to Australia in October for some saltwater fishing. So that's going to be super cool. I am born and raised in the forest. I haven't done that much saltwater, so that is quite new for me. So it's super cool. And Australia, you have all the crocodiles and snakes and spiders and everything. So it's going to be interesting for sure. So we're going to do an episode there. And I also going to try to have some days off with my family, of course. My 2 kids, Maina is 5 and Greta is 8, and they just love fishing. So we have some planned fishing trips to do now in July and August. So it's all about fishing in this family, really. And my husband works with restoration of rivers to get the trout back in the rivers. So the only thing we discuss by the dinner is, the fish. So that's my summer, really. It's going to be a lot of filming and fishing and work and hanging out with the kids.
That sounds perfect to me. Here's the last question for you. It's usually the tricky one, the one that people have to think a little bit about. You're heading to a day's fishing. What is the song? Choose a song for us to help set the tone for that day, that puts you in the mood for the day as before it unfolds.
Ooh, okay. So when we started with the Wild Fish, Wild Places series, me, Ted and Ali, we were traveling all over, and so we came up with this playlist on Spotify, the Wagoneers, we call it, a rental we had in Montana, where we have like all kind of, it depends on the mood you are when you're getting out there, So, I mean, we have it all from The Lonely Shepherd to Enya to Race Against the Machine, killing on the name of it, So, but if I have to pick one, you can't get sad when you listen to Elvis, I Want to Be Free.
Perfect.
Let's go with that one.
Perfect. Nice choice. I like that a lot. Emilie, we've just coming up an hour now. So if people want to connect with you and they want to find you, what are your social handles?
So Emilie.Björkman on socials. Instagram and Facebook, I think. And also, if they want to reach out and have some question about loop and gear or anything, my email is emily.looptackle.se. I think that was it. This hour just went so fast, Pete. You're such a pro. It was really, really awesome talking with you.
That's very, very kind of you. Well, I would like to say a huge thank you for being a guest. I know we've been trying to get this together for quite some time, and I'm really thrilled that we have now. So I'd like to say a huge thank you for being a guest on the podcast today.
Thank you so much, Pete. Enjoy your season.
I'll do my utmost. Well, everyone, this has been another episode of the podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as me. It's been great fun to get an insight into Emilie's fishing world, which is a fascinating one. As ever, there's never going to be any charge for these. I just like spreading the fly fishing word, and I hope it makes a nice accompaniment to a journey to work, a journey to fishing, or perhaps somewhere else. But I'd like to say a huge thank you for listening. There'll be plenty more coming very, very soon.
Thanks for listening to the Fly Culture podcast, brought to you in association with the Voice of Game Angling, Trout and Salmon, where Pete is the editor.